Good morning, neighbors. Let's put it on a smile and sing this song. Some of it's kind of a tongue twister for me. I'm not a fast speaker, so we'll try. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay. I've got the peace that passeth understanding down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I've got the peace that passeth understanding down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay. I've got the love of Jesus down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I've got the love of Jesus down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay. For there is therefore now no condemnation down in my heart. Down in my heart. Down in my heart, for there is therefore now no condemnation down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I have the love of Jesus in my heart. Oh, I'm so happy, so very happy. I have the love of Jesus in my heart. Excuse the coughing. I'm getting over a cold. I dropped my guitar. But the Lord is good. And as we were talking yesterday about little children, these are songs. They seem very simple, and almost some people could think, "What is it?" It's almost too simple. The Bible and the depth of all these things is so far beyond comprehension. It's true, the love of God is beyond complete comprehension, but He said you got to start somewhere. And just like a little child would learn their ABCs, we can "Oh, I don't have time for that." Well, they're the future, and if you don't teach them the basics, they'll never be able to comprehend anything that comes after. And if you start making comparison like one thing is greater than the other, it's all education. It's all understanding. It's all, he said, the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God. You have to have a reverence for God. It all has to begin somewhere before you can start getting deeper. But we're going to read what John has to say. But the amazing thing about the Apostle John, he refers to us a lot like little children love one another, little children. He keeps calling us little children. And this understanding that he had, God gave it to him. Then he could go on to the Isle of Patmos. You cannot arm someone with these great understandings and revelations, really. Now, they'll get maybe an educational understanding of it. But he's saying, if you really want to comprehend the depths of what I'm trying to show you, you're going to have this love. You're going to have something built on, or it will shake you to your foundation. You'll never truly grasp all that there is. So to arm him for the Isle of Patmos, he had to love his brothers and sisters. And there's that famous story that I've shared a lot of times about, after the book of Revelation, after it's written, when John's an elderly man, at the church of Ephesus, they would ask him things like, do you have a testimony to share? And he'd always say, little children love one another. And they would question him, why do you keep saying the same thing over and over again? Aren't we prepared for greater understanding? He said, if this is what the Master taught us. And if you can grasp it, it is enough, because it will just open the whole world to you, all this everything else that needs to come with it. So we're going to talk about this, and we sing the song, I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. There's a lot of people, they're Christians, they don't seem to have that joy anymore. And that's like they've let the devil take that from them. Well, it's still there, he's just buried it. And you have to uncover it and get down to what they call the brass tacks. Right down to the core of this. You must have the joy of the Lord within your heart. It is your strength. It is what is going to keep pushing you on. If you're sitting there, I am filled with joy. No, really, it's by their fruits you shall know them. Those people will see if you're happy or if you're miserable. And there's a lot of people, they're just making up the truth as they go along to whatever will fit their joy. But really the joy of the Lord is this. It is his truth. It is his understanding. And then we can be happy. And it says, I have the peace that passes understanding. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. For there is therefore now no condemnation. That's my joy. When I get down to it all, it's the fact that he's forgiven me and I am no longer condemned. He's set me free. But we're going to read about what John says in 3 John. And we can go ahead and start with verse 4. There's only one chapter in it. 3 John and verse 4. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. And though my children are young, you try to raise them the best you can to love the Lord, because he said, John is saying, it's not just, he's not talking about his own natural children. He is speaking about all these ones who are disciples, who've come after the 12 disciples and have come in, from the different churches, the Jews and the Gentiles, they come together loving Jesus Christ, they've become children of God. And he says, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in the truth. They walk in truth and understanding. And they are not perfect. John was dealing with all kinds of different, the early church, they're literally taking people from all these different walks of life, heathens and, pagans and Jews and all these people, bringing them all together. And, in this, Jesus Christ is the Messiah. He saved us. And these revelations that come forth from these understandings, of being in one mind, one accord, one body, and all these things. And he said, he said, I have this great joy that you're all walking in this understanding. What about this? What about that? But we have this in common. We know this is the blood. We are all bound by the blood. He it just filled him with joy that all these children are walking in truth and understanding. And as a parent, as your children get older, because my kids are at different ages, you see them improving in their understanding at different rates and different things. All minds are so different. And one maybe grasping hold of this interest more than this interest, but that we're walking in the truth together. And you're learning more and more. And then, but he continues in verse 9, I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to have the preeminence among them, does not receive us. Therefore, if I come, I will call to mind his deeds which he does, prating against us with malicious words. And not content with that, he himself does not receive the brethren, and forbids those who wish to, putting them out of the church. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God. So there's this man Diotrephes. He loves to have this, like we were saying yesterday, this, I'm the top dog here. I am the greatest. I am the one. People need to look to me. I have all the answers. Look at me. And he says, you know what? He loves to have the preeminence among them, and he doesn't even receive us. So here's Apostle John, who actually walked with Jesus, like literally, and he says he doesn't even want us to come. I wrote to the church, but he loves to have the preeminence of it, and he does not receive us. He loves to, because if John walks in, let's just face the facts. If I'm in church and all of a sudden some great man of God, like Charles Spurgeon or D.L. Moody or any of these disciples that would come walking in, I'm just going to have to realize everyone's going to look to Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John, and Paul, and Peter, and all these people. They're going to look at them and say, that man has something for us, that I'm not going to take offense, like, oh my gosh, I'm not as good, am I? I still have the Spirit of God within me, but I realize their calling is great. The people need to hear what they have to say. But what Diotrephes is, when these guys come in, he's like, suddenly I'm second class, I want to have the preeminence over the people, and he doesn't even want us to come. Therefore, if I come, I will call to mind his deeds which he does. And think about this. Diotrephes is prating against us with malicious words. So he's speaking evil. If you hear somebody constantly speaking evil about other people and just trying to tear people down left and right, And not content with that. So he's not even happy with that, because if you're like that, you're never going to be happy. You're always going to be looking for more respect, more love from the people. The people need to see me as this. They want to see me as that. That shouldn't even matter. And not content with that, he himself does not receive the brethren. So he doesn't even allow the brethren to come and doesn't even want anything to do with them and forbids those who wish to, putting them out of the church. So he's saying, so if he doesn't want anybody around, it's like, okay, well, if they don't want John to come to the church, all right, whatever. I'll have John come over for dinner, and I'll talk with John. Or maybe we'll have a house meeting. And then suddenly it's, Michael, you're out of the church. Diotrephes is just so puffed up with pride. Then John warns him, beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. Don't imitate the bad things, imitate what is good. He who does good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God. Then it says, Demetrius has a good testimony from all, and from the truth itself. And we also bear witness, and you know that our testimony is true. I like that because he said, Demetrius, so Diotrephes, by his actions, God doesn't keep these things secret, and God knows all things, even if he doesn't choose to reveal it into us. God sees Diotrephes' heart is turned to evil. He wants to do evil things to good people. He's puffed up with pride. But Demetrius has a good testimony from all. All these people see this man and think, he's a good man. He's a good brother. Not perfect. No one's perfect. But everyone can see this is a good person who we can trust. And we also bear witness, and you know that our testimony is true. We've seen it too. He's a good brother. So, Lord, help us to be good little children. So God bless you all in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.